Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 2, where we are talking about fun with K through 2 in elementary CodeHS CS. And some of you were in our first session, but if you are new, you just joined us, welcome. This is the elementary room, so all sessions that happen here will deal with elementary. Scratch Junior does require you to use a installed software. So I will drop into the chat again. Cindy actually just did. Cindy, can you drop it in one more time? Because I think someone just joined. Where there is a link to install Scratch Junior. Because it does not work online, you do need to install it in order to play in this session. So I'll give people a few minutes to get started or to go ahead and install the Scratch Junior software. So I'll go ahead and click on that link just so that you can see what I'm talking about. This link will take you to an installation guide. If you have a tablet available on you right now, you can go to the App Store if you have an iPad and search for Scratch Junior. You can also go to the Android Play Store, and it's also available on the Amazon tablet. If you are using your computer, we do have for Chromebook, since it's similar to the Android tablet, Chromebook has Scratch Junior in the Play Store. And if you're on a Mac or Windows, there is a software called an emulator, which is not the same version as Scratch Junior, but very similar so that it can work on your Mac or Windows. So that link to install on your Mac or Windows is the bottom link down here. This is what I will be using since I'm on a Mac today. And you can go ahead and download the Mac or Windows version on this website. I'll give people another minute to do that before I get started.
And while we're installing that, a few people have joined us recently. This entire session, like the others, will be recorded. So you will have all of the slides and the recording available to you next week.
All right. So I will start. My slides are pretty light because this session is really meant to just play. Believe it or not, I feel like as adults, as educators, we don't have enough time to play. And I feel like it's really important in computer science, especially, that we play so that we can understand that it's about being curious and teaching students how to figure out things over time. And you can't really do that if you don't give them the opportunity to play. So, hello, my name is Portia Morel, and I am a PD specialist here at CodeHS. I actually specialize in a little bit of everything. I've taught elementary, but in after school, and I was a full-time teacher for 8th through 10th grade, and I've even taught adults in continuing ed. So computer science is my passion, my love, and I am happy to be here to share all of my knowledge with you. Our session will focus more on K through 2 elementary. And what I really mean by that is our lessons that we have on the portal are geared towards using Scratch Junior as our program of choice. Scratch Junior, we'll go over that as well. And let me just go over the other intro things just to get an idea of where everyone is. So in the chat, could you let me know, based off of these number values, 1, 2, or 3, if you have ever used Scratch Junior before? I've noticed that many people have not used Scratch Junior, so this could be new to a lot of people. So it's great to know where you are. So 1, if you've never used it; 2, if you used it a little bit; and 3, you have taught with it. Oh, yeah, a couple of people who have taught with it. Cool. We have some 2s, some 1s. It's normal that everyone is a little bit all over when it comes to Scratch Junior. More people know about Scratch than they do about Scratch Junior. All right. Thank you all for sharing. So here is our agenda. My plan is to spend the next 25 minutes playing in Scratch Junior, and then I will go over the free lesson plan that you have that you'll get access to, and then we'll wrap up. And I always put this in my slides just so that you know that the whole goal in all of the things that we do at CodeHS is really to make sure that we empower all students to meaningfully impact the future. And the way we can do that with programming and learning computer science is very, very important to the company. So we always put this in here. So Scratch background. This is giving you an overview of Scratch Junior background, I'm sorry. This is giving you kind of a lay of the land of what you can expect from Scratch Junior software. So this software was meant for K-2 because the blocks and all of the interface in general is very visual. There aren't a lot of words, and that is knowing or acknowledging the fact that no literacy is required in order to learn how to program in this application. And that's another reason why the app isn't online. It's more on mobile devices and Chromebooks. And the program concepts that you can expect from Scratch Junior are to be able to put things in order, which means that we're using sequencing. We have blocks that can trigger events. We have blocks that allow you to loop or create something that will repeat. And we have blocks that are allowing characters to communicate with each other by sending messages. That does mean that we have limitations using Scratch Junior, and those limitations include not being able to use conditionals. There's no if-else statements, but there are some there are some events that have like that cause and effect feel that I think you can kind of maneuver to represent some type of conditionals. So I feel like that's my loophole for that. There are no abilities to create functions, no abilities to use variables, which is to save things like scoring or user input. We don't have that in Scratch Junior. This is best for storytelling, informational animations, and small user interactions. In our lessons for CodeHS, we do have things such as games in Scratch Junior, just without using variables. So you can do some basic games in Scratch Junior too. All right, let's get into actual Scratch Junior. So I will stop sharing my screen to switch over to the actual Scratch Junior emulator. And for those of you who just joined, Cindy, can you go ahead and put that installation guide in again for my new people? Okay, so here is Scratch Junior, and I'll try to make it as big as possible. If you've never used Scratch Junior before, what you'll see when you first open it is this view. It might also, if you're on an app, ask you if you want to set up this software to be for school or home. You can go ahead and choose one. It doesn't really matter in this case, but that might be your welcome screen first before you get here. So I will click the home button, and this will get me to my main space where I can create projects. And please, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them into the chat. We are navigating and monitoring the chats to make sure that we answer all of your questions. So this is my main screen for all of my projects. I have one tester project here, but you will have nothing at the beginning. And all you will see is this plus sign. This plus sign will indicate that you want to create a new project. So let's go ahead and click the plus. All right, so once you click the plus, you will be now in a programming space for Scratch Junior. The main character may look different. It depends on what installation you chose. I chose the emulator, which is kind of a cloned version of Scratch Junior. And so that's why you don't see the Scratch Junior cat here. But if you are on an iPad, Chromebook, Android, all of those others, you will see the Scratch cat as your main character. So I will go over different spaces and we will learn how to build a project within the time that we have. So the first thing I'll go over is how to add characters and how to delete characters. So to delete characters, you're either going to tap and hold, or you're going to click on your left mouse and hold, and then you will see an X button appear here that you can get rid of the character for. You can also do it on the character on this left side as well. So I can press the plus sign here to add my own character. So go ahead and find a character that you would like. I have decided that since it's spring, I'm going to do spring things and find characters that are spring related. When you are in the spring, the character section, what you'll notice is that everything is kind of sectioned off by theme. All of the characters that you create will be up at the top. So over time, when you have your students working in Scratch Junior, the characters that they create will live up here. So we have some main characters, some animals, some people, and the people that have empty faces mean that you can add your own face to the character, which is very interesting to do. Maybe I'll show you how to do that as well if you have your camera set up for that. We have other objects for nature and buildings and transportation. So go ahead and pick a character, anyone that you would like. I will click, I think I wanted was there a flower in here? Yeah, perfect. So I'm going to select a flower. So when you select something, you have to press the check mark to go ahead and confirm that as your character. And once again, if you would like to get rid of a character, you click and hold either here or here and press the X to get rid of the character that you do not want. So go ahead and pick a character. And then let's go ahead and pick a background. The background lives right here. It has a picture Polaroid look to it. So we'll click on this to generate a background. You can draw your own here, or you can press the paint button here. But for now, just to save time, we will choose a background that already exists. So this is spring. I will choose the river right here and press the check mark to confirm that's what I want as my background. And so far, I have a character and I have a background. I can put this in full screen by clicking on the rectangle that has these little I don't know, corners on them. This is the full screen mode. So right now my project will look like this in full screen, and I can press it again to minimize it. All right. So that is currently the basics of just adding characters and choosing a background. Everything in Scratch Junior lives on its own page, so you can keep track of your pages on the right side. So this is a great way. Scratch Junior is a great way to use for storytelling, because you can create multiple pages where different things can happen. I do believe there is a minimum, not a minimum, a maximum of 4 pages that you can add to your project. But for now, we'll just have 2 pages. But if you would like to set up your second page, you can press the plus sign. But later on, I'll do that when we are programming and putting things together. Actually, yeah, no, I'll save it so that you can know what you can do in the coding side first. All right, so let's make something happen with this character. And that we can do with the programming blocks at the bottom. And so there are 6 categories. I want to briefly go over every category first so that you can understand what to expect from it. And then we will just play. So the first category is the category for events, and that is the category on the left. You actually notice that all the shapes except for one start off with this oval side on the left and then a connector piece on the right. And that is because this is our starter block. So one of these blocks we need to use to start our program. By default, we normally use the green flag block. And what that will do is it says whatever program or whatever other blocks I put after this will only happen if I press the green flag. So when I press this green flag, activate whatever happens after. We also have a if we're touching this character block. So it will listen and wait for you to touch the character. And when you tap on the character, it will activate the code that happens after. The fourth interaction that we have is if we tap or bump into another character, we can have something happen. And then last but not least, we have the ability to communicate with other characters on the screen by sending color messages. So there are a total of 6 color messages that you can send. And the reason why you have 6 different colors is maybe one color represents one message, and then another color represents a different message. And that's why you have multiple colors. And when you are using the send a message, you're normally using these are paired together. So one character will receive when I receive the message or when I open up the message, and one character will send the message to the other character. So these kind of like live together. Okay, so to get rid of them, you can just drop them back into this section and you'll hear the sound effect to get rid of the blocks. You can also press delete. Oh, maybe not on Scratch Junior. All right, so that is the event blocks. We have motion blocks. We can move forward, backwards, up, down. We can turn left and right, and we can jump, which is a combination of moving forward and going up at the same time. This block at the end is to reset the character to go back to where it originally started. In the third section, this is our looks. So this is where you can have the pop-up bubble appear on the character. You can make the character grow. And I actually do want this to grow a little bit. So I can drag out that block and double click it to activate the program just temporarily, just to make it bigger. You can also make it smaller by using the one next to it and double click it if you want it to be smaller. And then there's a block called normal that you can use to set it back to its normal size. The last 2 blocks are toggling the character to hide and show. So this translucent person means to hide. And then this person that is completely filled in means to show. Okay. Students have the ability to record because we are acknowledging the fact that they cannot type a lot of words. So the recording feature is really beneficial to K-2 students. The 5th section is the ability to loop and control the speed and the speed of the program. So this block right here is time. The way that time is broken down is so confusing. I do believe 10 represents 1 second, and so 20 would represent 2 seconds. It's kind of confusing, but so this is a wait block pretty much. So you can have something happen and tell it to wait and then continue on with the program. This is a block that will cause anything to stop once it's activated. We can make the program move faster by using this block. And then last but not least, this is a loop block where you can repeat something multiple times. By default, it's set to 4. So whatever I put inside of this block will repeat 4 times. And then last but not least, put this all back in here, we have our ending blocks. This is the end of our sequence. So this is just to say that you've ended the sequence, completely optional. But if you're teaching students to have like a beginning, middle, and end, I think this is a block that is perfect to say, hey, we've just ended the program. It doesn't do anything, but it does tell the students that this is the end of the program. The last block we have in here is the repeat forever block. So if we attach this to anything, it will continuously repeat the whole entire sequence. There is one more block if I have other pages that also lives here too. So I just created a second page just so that I can trigger this block to appear. So if you want to switch to another page, that's another way to end the program, because once it switches to another page, it automatically will activate the programs in the next page. So all of the programs only live in the page that you're currently in. I will pause just to see if there are any questions about the different types of blocks that exist in Scratch Junior before we start playing. Okay.
Hey, hi, Robin. I'm going to put a link in the chat you might want to look at before Portia continues. We just had someone join us.
All right, so let's start playing. So I'm going to program my character to maybe just grow and shrink, just so that you can see how that works, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, I'll go to my looks block, which is the second, or not the second, the third person with the person on it, and say, okay, I want you to grow 2. Or you can change this number to a bigger value if you'd like. Let's do 4, why not? And then press the green flag to see what happens. So I think that creating stuff step by step and also testing it with students will allow you to see and them to see what's happening in the program, right? Instead of running the sequence at the end, how about running in the sequence every time you add a block so that they can see what happens? So when I press the green flag, it caused my flower to grow by 4. All right. Well, after I grow by 4, well, what do I want to happen next? Maybe, even though this doesn't logically make sense, I want to move my flower up. Why not? Just because. So I can go to motion and find the up arrow, and I can say I want to move by 1. Now, sometimes it's a little bit confusing as to what moving 1 step really means. You can actually turn on the grid to understand that a little bit better. So the grid is next to the full screen icon. So I can click this right here, and this will activate the grid, and I can actually see the current location of my daisy. So my daisy is 9 by 6. So that is my current location. So moving 1 up means that the daisy is just going to move right here. So if I run this, it is right where I am expecting it to be. You can do the same thing going across, the same thing going left, and the same thing going down. So another great opportunity to do movement in math, for example, or just counting, being able to visually see where this is actually going. So if I like that, then I can keep it as 1, or maybe I want it to actually go a little bit further up. So I'm going to select 4 and see what happens. And there goes my flower moving all the way up here. Okay, I think I'm okay with where my flower is, and I am going to program another character because I don't want all of my code to actually live in one space. So I'll add another character. Let's add a butterfly. Find the butterfly. By the way, when students are adding characters, it might be helpful to do this at the beginning and just give them a certain amount of time to explore and add characters. They can get very consumed with choosing characters and drawing characters. So I would be very explicit with how much time they have with this because it's fun, but that's not the core reason why we're using Scratch Junior. I do want to also pause and just look at the editor so that you can see what the paint editor looks like. So I selected the butterfly, but I'm also going to press the paint icon to modify the butterfly. So let's do that. So here's my butterfly. If I would like to change the color, I simply need to choose my color down here at the bottom. Let's see, maybe I want purple. And you need to make sure that the bucket is currently toggled, but by default it is. But if you selected anything, maybe it's not on right now. So you just want to make sure that the paint bucket is on. And then I can select where I want to change my color. So I just changed the color of the wings to a purple. I'll make it a little lighter so that it's not as bright. So I just changed it to like this light yellow. You can also use the tools on the left side to create shapes and also just draw if you want to. So if I maybe wanted to add some extra features to my butterfly, I can use the paint tool as well as a different color. Guess I'll do red and draw right on there. And so that will appear. And it kind of will try to make it look a little nicer because drawing can be challenging. There are some other tools where I can cut, paste, and copy, and also even modify the edges of a shape by clicking on this arrow, clicking on the character space, and it will show all of the I guess this one I can't do, but the line that I created, it shows me all the dots so that I can move them around and reshape it. But I won't do that now. I will just press undo. Undo and redo are up here because students tend to, make mistakes. So just knowing where the undo and redo buttons are also helpful. So whatever you want to do, you create the character, you modify it, and then just press the check once you're done with whatever you want your character to look like. All right, so here's my butterfly. I am going to get my butterfly to fly across the screen. I'll turn off the grid just for now and get this to be a little bit bigger as well. Let's grow it a little bit. Oh, it's kind of too big. Let's shrink. Okay. All right, so what we'll do, is there a way to stop if you're trying to fix your drawing, just in case you want it a specific way? Is there a way to stop it from trying to fix? Robin, is there a way to stop?
What was your question? So Scratch Junior will always automatically smooth your lines. There's no way to turn that feature off. In my lessons, we just try and get the kids to space the lines a little farther apart.
That's the fact that it will auto correct. Yeah. Okay, so I want my butterfly to move across the screen. So I am going to actually activate this character when I tap on it so that you can see a different event block. So I want this to activate when I tap on the butterfly. Now I want it to move across the screen. And I can do this in different ways. I can specify how many steps I want the butterfly to move, but I'm going to do something that's a little bit more efficient by making it repeat. Now, it depends on how many times you want it to repeat. If you have a set number of times that you want the character to repeat, the block that you will use is located on the 5th menu at the end, and this is the repeat with a set number of times. But I actually want my butterfly to repeat forever. And that block lives in the last set, which is the second block, and that is repeating forever. I like the fact that with Scratch Junior, I'm going to show you what happens. That my butterfly, once it hits the edge of the screen, it just loops right back around. So you don't have to worry about if it hits the edge or anything like that. I kind of like the fact that it'll just continuously loop through the whole entire space. So I got my butterfly moving. Maybe I want my butterfly to go a little bit slower. And if you want to do that, you can change the speed by using the third block in the controls, or in the block, in the space where you can find the loop block, and just slow down the speed or speed up the speed, whatever you want to do. Let's see what happens if I put super fast. I'm curious. So it's moving a little bit faster. Let's see what happens if I do normal. There goes normal. And I'll do medium fast. Let's see what happens. So I like that block because you can also play with speed and play with how fast a program runs. So another way to explore with your students. All right, so I got my butterfly to move. What if you want the butterfly to go around the flower? Well, I'm thinking about what is possible with Scratch Junior. Do you want it to, yeah, if you want to circle around the flower, you probably would have to write some type of sequence that will get it to go around here. I'll do that on a second one. Let's add another butterfly and see what happens. Maybe I'll paint this a different color. Oops. There we go. I can also rename, just realized never showed this up here. You can rename it, but if students can't type that much, you might not want them to rename. But over time, heading towards second grade, you can have them practice renaming characters. All right, so let's attempt it. I have my green butterfly here, and I want to write a sequence that will go around my flower. Now, we first need to investigate and understand how turn works. So I'm going to pull out a turn just to see what happens. I'll press it once and notice that my character is turning one time. I'll also turn on the grid so that we can see how the behavior is happening. If I keep turning, what I notice is that my character still stays in that one position. So I know that I can't just use the turn. I need to also turn and somehow move up, down, left, or right. So this is going to be tricky, but it is a great challenge to write out the algorithm and or write out the sequence to kind of figure out how to make this work. So I know I need turn and I know I need move. Now, moving is directional, which is a little tricky because in Scratch, you can, the movement can be separate from the direction that you move. So if I press up, I know it's going to make me go up, but I can't do this for everything. So pretty much I would have to figure out what the sequence is. So let's see if I can figure it out. Let's reset it. Move my character. Okay. So I want my butterfly starting here. I want it to maybe move forward, right? Maybe move forward and then turn. And I will, I want this to happen after the flower gets to this location. So in order for me to activate this butterfly's program, I want it to receive a message. So I'll use the orange message and say, hey, when you get the orange message, then I want you to activate this code. But I need to go to my daisy and say to send that message as well. So I'll send the orange message after I move up to this location. So let's test it and see what happens. And I got my butterfly to move once and turn. All right. I got that part. And pretty much it is to just continue to write the sequence to get it to go around. I see that Cindy wrote that to do the grid mode. Yep. Which is using the spaces because that's the only way you'll be able to figure out how to get it to move around. So move, turn, probably move up. And then turn to the left. I wonder if I can do this sequence. Let's see what happens. Oops, I did it wrong. All right, so I can't turn quite yet. Need to move more. It's a great challenge to get your students to figure out. I would probably add that you want to do this by hand too, either or on the main screen where they can see the grid and write out the algorithm. Because right now I'm just doing it live. All right, I need to move up 2 more times. Let's do 2. So I'll add 4. There we go. And then I got it to go, I need to get it to go the other way. There we go. Let's fly across by 1, 2, 3. So 4 in total. And we just wrote an algorithm. I realize you could do the square thing, and that is a simpler pattern where if I start my character here, let me reset this, okay, and point it the other way. Put it here, because I just realized what the algorithm could be. If I'm starting here and I do a box around the character, that is a very simple sequence. You can just have it turn or move up or turn up. It depends on how you want to do this. It depends on if you want to add turns or not, because you can just have it move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then move left 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 times, and just have them just use up, down, left, right arrows and actually not even use the turns. So it depends on if you want to dive deep into using turns and moving forwards, or if you just want them to do the whole box thing, because then that's a little easier. I don't even need all of this. I can do, let's see, first start up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then go left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then go down. Let me see what that looks like right now. Yep. And then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then to the right. Back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. And actually, if I look at the sequence, the pattern makes sense. I'm going 4 across in both directions and 5 up and down. So let's run it. There you go. All right. Wow, time flies because I'm looking at the time now. So that was just playing with Scratch Junior. As you can see, you can dive deep into just writing sequences with students and figuring out how things work and still be able to be curious enough without all of the extra blocks that exist in Scratch. I did want to just show you the lesson that you'll receive wherever my tab is. It's a spring lesson that was created like a month ago. And is it this one? Oh, here we go. For my screens. So it is a seasonal project. It's actually, why is this? This is the wrong one. This your project is not the catch chase game. This is actually the Scratch one. I might have put this in wrong because I'm doing both, but it is this one. So I'll fix that in the slides. It's how things live and survive. So I'll switch the links to make sure it's the right one. But this is using 2 pages to create cause and effect pretty much with flowers growing and they're first like not growing yet, and then when you move them to the second page they're closer to the stream and they the flowers grow with the whole cause and effect idea. And it's fun because I've actually seen students do this in real life, and the kids get really involved in just putting together. It sounds simple, but for them it's not. So they get really involved in creating projects in Scratch Junior. So this is the one that you'll receive. Just a FYI to let you know that we are in the works. This is mentioned in the main room to integrate Scratch and Scratch Junior in the sandbox. I've actually seen this already and it's looking pretty good. And we're hoping to hopefully launch it by the 23-24 school year. So if you are interested in pursuing a license or an elementary license with us, you can learn more at codehs.com/elementary. And I just want to thank you all for joining. I'll leave the room open for the second session, which I'm also leading. And also, if you have any questions, you can just ask me. Thank you so much.